Just 3 weeks before his wedding, Johnson walks into their church office for midweek service and finds his fiancée, Adah, holding hands and sitting intimately with Pastor Collins. Can you imagine? The pastor said God spoke to him and told him to steal my wife to be? The question is, which God now? The love story between Johnson and Adah was the kind people wrote songs about. It was an Abuja love story born in the pews of the Shepherd's Church and nurtured over 2 years of shared dreams, late night suya runs, and fervent prayers. Theirs was a union everyone saw coming. In their circle of friends, they were simply Judah, Johnson, and Adah, a single entity, a foregone marriage conclusion. When Johnson finally proposed during a church-organized picnic, their friends erupted in a joyous roar. Adah's yes was ecstatic and was merely a confirmation of a truth everyone already held dear. Their pastor, the charismatic and revered Pastor Collins, had personally blessed the engagement. He was more than just a spiritual leader. He was a phenomenon. His face adorned billboards across the city. His voice was a soothing balm on the radio waves, and his sermons were electrifying events that drew thousands from market women to government officials. To be noticed by Pastor Collins was to be touched by grace. Johnson admired him, not just as a man of God, but as a mentor, a spiritual father, whose approval felt like a direct endorsement from heaven. He had trusted him implicitly, so much so that he had been the first person Johnson confided in about his plans to marry Adah. With only 3 weeks until the wedding, their lives were a whirlwind of joyful chaos. The Asoebi fabrics had been distributed, the caterer had been paid, and the reception hall, one of the most sought after in Abuja, was booked. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. Adah was the perfect bride-to-be, her laughter echoing through their planning meetings. Her eyes sparkling with a future so bright it was almost blinding. She was the calm in Johnson's storm, the melody of his rhythm. Everything was perfect. Watch it, people. Has the high and mighty pastor you know been found in compromised situations? Just thinking. The text message arrived on a Tuesday night, an unwelcome intrusion into Johnson's plans. It came from an unknown number, a stark black and white notification on his phone screen. Johnson was reviewing the wedding program when it lit up. If you love yourself, check pastor's house at 10 p.m. tonight. Johnson tried calling Adah to accompany him, but her phone went straight into voicemail. He told himself she was probably at her fitting or with her mother. Yet, the seed of doubt, once planted, began to sprout ugly tangled roots. But the Bible says, touch not my anointed. And, oh yes, this has been abused by agents of darkness on pulpits. By 9:45 p.m., the doubt had grown into a monstrous, suffocating vine. He could not eat, he could not think, he could not pray. The message was planted in his mind, a beacon leading him towards a truth he was not sure he wanted to find. He grabbed his car keys, his hands trembling lightly. This is foolishness, he muttered to himself. But his feet carried him to his car, his instincts overriding his logic. Pastor Collins lived in the opulent minister's quarters, a sprawling estate of white mansions reserved for the elites. The curtains were not drawn, but a window was left open. That was all it took to shatter his world. Through that open window, Johnson saw a scene from a nightmare he never could have conceived. There was Adah, his bride, the woman whose face was the first and last thing he wanted to see each day. Sitting on the pastor's plush cream sofa, she was wearing silk pajamas, and it looked expensive. And when she was laughing, it wasn't her usual gentle laugh. This was a throaty, unrestrained sound of pure intimate mirth. And beside her, leaning on each other, was Pastor Collins. He wore expensive pajamas as well, looking more like a man of sin than a man of God. He held her hand and they laughed together. This made the bar rise in Johnson's throat. As Johnson watched, frozen in horror, Pastor Collins leaned in further and whispered something. Ada tilted her head backwards, her eyes closing in a silent, blissful surrender that broke Johnson in two. The laughter was gone, replaced by a look of serene adoration aimed not at him, but at a man he had called his father in the Lord. Johnson's drive back home was a blur. Johnson did not remember the turns he took or the traffic lights he passed. The image from the window was seared onto the back of his eyelids, a looping torture. Ada's laugh, the pastor's touch, the emerald silk pajamas, each detail was a fresh stab to his heart. He stumbled onto his apartment, the silence amplifying the roaring tempest in his mind. He collapsed onto his own sofa, the one where they had planned their future, and the dam of his composure finally broke. He wept, not with loud sobs, but with silent, shuddering sobs that tore through his body, leaving him empty. This wasn't just heartbreak. It was a crisis of faith, a demolition of everything he believed to be true and holy. The next morning, Ada called him. Her voice was usually a warm melody. It was now clipped and distant. "We need to talk, Johnson," he said, her tone devoid of any emotion. She suggested they meet at a neutral place, a coffee shop that felt a world away from their usual cozy spots. As they sat together at the coffee shop, they looked like strangers. The sparkle in her eyes was gone, replaced by a hard defensive sheen. She did not hug him. She did not even touch his hands. "I can't do this anymore, Johnson," she said. "I can't marry you anymore." Johnson stared at her, searching her face for a sign, a flicker of the woman he loved. He saw nothing. "Why, Ada? Just tell me why. Is this something I did? We can fix it. Whatever it is, we can fix it." "You can't fix this," Ada said, her gaze fixed on the wall behind him. "I'm not the woman you think I am. I need something different, something more." "Something more? Or someone else?" Johnson said. The words were out of his mouth before he could stop himself, sharp and bitter. He wanted to scream. He wanted to demand she tells him about last night, to confront her with the image of her in that silk pajamas. But what was the point? The betrayal was so absolute, so profound, that words felt useless. He was looking at a closed door. She flinched. "This isn't about anyone else. This is about me. Please, just respect my decision." She stood up and walked out of his life as easily as one might leave a coffee shop. The aftermath was a brutal, humiliating storm. Then Johnson had to make the calls, to tell their friends, their families, and other invited guests that the wedding was off. The questions were relentless, a chorus of disbelief and confusion. What happened? But everything seemed so perfect. Did you two fight? He had no answers, only a hollow ache and the shame of a publicly jilted groom. He stopped going to church. His thought of sitting in the congregation, of seeing Pastor Collins on the altar preaching about love and faithfulness, was more than he could bear. The shepherd's arena, once his sanctuary, now felt like the scene of a crime. His friends cursed Adah's name, called her a witch, a home wrecker, but Johnson couldn't bring himself to hate her. All he felt was a vast, bewildering emptiness. How could 2 years of love vanish overnight? Was it all a lie? Had he been blinded the entire time? A month crawled by. Each day was a new shade of grey. Johnson was a ghost haunting his own life, losing weight, losing sleep, and losing faith. Then, one day, he was scrolling through his phone on a Saturday morning when a friend forwarded him a post. It was from a popular wedding blog. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. One that featured the most lavish and high-profile weddings in Abuja. The headline read, "A Divine Union. Pastor Collins ties the knot in the surprise ceremony with Sister Adah." Johnson's blood ran cold. He clicked the link, his thumb shaking, and there she was. Adah, his Adah. She was radiant, breathtaking, in a gorgeous white gown that billowed around her like a cloud. The groom was Pastor Collins. The caption underneath the photo, a quote from the pastor himself, was the final devastating blow, and it read, "When God shows you your wife, you do not delay. This was a love ordained from heaven, a testament to the will of God." Wow. The question now is, which God? Days after the wedding, Pastor Collins' previous deliverance victims, all young ladies he had deceived, came forward, revealing a pattern of seduction disguised as prophecy. But the twist? Adah knew. But she was using the pastor to secure a visa through the international connections of the church. And she left both her new husband and Johnson behind.